Hi, I'm Tony Carbone of the Boston-based personal chef business, The Urban Epicurean. Thanks for coming into my kitchen today. What we're going to do today is make a rosemary roll with some nice gooey cheese with some Parmesan, provolone, and to make it even filthier, we're going to throw in a little pancetta as well. So first thing I did to get started was I took some butter and milk and I melted it over a low heat. And we're going to let that cool once we take it off the heat, and then we're going to add some of our yeast. And we're just going to sprinkle that over the top a little bit, get it going and let it activate. So as the yeast gets its thing going, we'll start over here with some of our flour. So in a bowl, you want to take some flour, put a little pinch of salt, and mix that up, sift it in a little bit, and then make yourself a nice little well in the center. And our yeast is activated, so we're going to add that to our flour. And one thing you want to do is always have a little bit of water on the side, because you never know how your flour and your dough mixture is going to react. It might be a little dry, so I have a little extra water, and it might be a little moist, so I have a little extra flour to reverse either process. So we're just going to pour that right in there. And now it's our time to get a little dirty with our mixture. And we're going to knead that dough in there until we get it to a nice dough-like consistency. I used to go to this place in Manhattan with my father called La Focacceria. And we used to get these things called vastettes. And what vastettes is, it's a lot of melted cheese, and it's on a sesame roll. And it's one of the most delicious things you can have. Obviously not the most healthiest, but, it just sounds good. So when I started dating my wife, I took her there trying to be a big shot, impress her with these little, hole-in-the-wall Manhattan eateries. And I ordered the vastettes. And the thing I didn't know is my father always used to order for us. And I never thought anything of it. So when my wife and I ordered, they said, "Do you want the works on the vastet?" I said, "Yeah, give me the works." So when the vastet finally came over, there was this big, dark brown thing on there, and my wife looked horrified. And I said to the waitress, I said, "What is that?" And she said, "That's spleen." And I thought my wife was going to get sick right at the table, and good thing we stayed together after that. So after we did that, I said, let's try it a little bit of a different way. I said, I have this great recipe for rosemary rolls that we can do it with. And I said, instead of some spleen, let's use a little pancetta, make it a little more palatable to, 99% of America, I guess. So and that led to how we came up with this, a little variation on the vastet that I knew from growing up with my father. So we're working here a little bit, and my dough is just a little bit dry. As you saw, I just added a little more water. But we almost got it to where we want it to be. So now we got it, a nice little bowl. You can see it's not breaking apart. It's not too sticky. That's just where you want it. Put it in our pre-oiled bowl. We're going to cover it with some plastic wrap. Now what I'm going to do is I have my oven preheated, so you can put it on top of the stove, on the side of the stove for about an hour. Let that rise to about twice its original size, and then we'll be ready to roll. No pun intended. All right, it's been about an hour, and let's take a look at our dough. And you can see we've got a nice rise out of it, about twice its original size. And now comes the fun part. Let me see, well, the fun part's really the cheese and the pancetta. But we're going to take our dough, let's get a surface, some flour. We're going to do a little kneading. Take this, and I'm going to spread it out a little bit, because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sprinkle all that chopped rosemary on top. This way we get it really incorporated and nobody gets shortchanged on the rosemary. This way, we got even distribution. Put a little dusting of flour on top as well. And this is, not something that is only going to limit you to being a roll. You can also make this into a nice, focaccia type bread, maybe even a pizza. I mean, it has a lot of variations, and there we go. And so you got all that rosemary on there. Then we'll just take it and fold it over once, fold it over a second time. Then we'll really get into our kneading here. There we go, and this dough is looking really nice. Just a few turns, you can start to see all that rosemary starting to spread itself out. And that is where we're going to get flavor, and we're going to get a really, really nice smell in the house, especially when that hits the oven. It's nothing like having folks walk into your home with that nice scent of rosemary kicking. All right, so I think that's pretty good for as far as spreading out our rosemary. And then what I like to do is just kind of roll it out almost into almost a log, I would say. Just it's easier to cut it up. And we'll take this, and you want to cut this up into about six individual pieces, even, of course, or as even as you can get it. You can take them, Roll them nice into little balls. There we go. And don't worry so much about the shape or if they all look consistent and even. It's more about the flavor. And I'm telling you, once people take a first bite out of these things, they're not going to even worry about if it looks a little bit funky or if they all look the same or not. They're going to be thinking, cheese and pancetta. Now what you want to do is you want to put these right back next to the warm spot on top of the oven or on the side. Let them sit for about an hour. They're going to get a little lighter, but they're going to also double in size. And then we're going to come back and we're going to put them in the oven and we're going to work on our little cheese concoction. Okay, it's been another hour. As you can see, our rolls have risen here and we're almost getting ready to put them in the oven. We have our oven set at 350 degrees and we're going to throw these guys in for about 15 to 20 minutes. First thing you want to do though is you want to do a little egg wash. And an egg wash is just one egg. Beat it up a little bit, and what this is going to do, it's just going to give a nice brown color to our rolls. And you want to make sure that that egg drips off there because you don't want any cooked egg on your roll. You just want to get that nice brown because if you don't do an egg wash on these, they come out pale. They don't exactly look like they're completely cooked. They still taste delicious, but if you do want to jazz them up a little bit, definitely do an egg wash. There we go. We have a nice glaze on all 6 of our rolls, and what we're going to do is we're going to throw that in the oven, like I said, 350 for about 15 to 20 minutes. So what I have here is I have a medium saucepan. I already have it going, getting that pan nice and hot. We're just going to drop in some of our pancetta. You can hear that little sizzle there. If you notice, I didn't use any oil in my pan with the pancetta because you don't want this dish to become too greasy. All right, so our pancetta is nice and browned here. Add a little bit of our cream. There we go. You just want to coat those pieces of pancetta. And now, here we go. We have our provolone and our Parmesan. What you want to do is you want to make sure you're keeping this at a nice, consistent mix because you don't want any of that cheese to get stuck and burn on the bottom of the pan. So you just want to keep giving it a stir until it's into that nice, melted, gooey mess. I guess it's kind of like a risotto. You just want to give it a lot of TLC, a lot of love, and make sure that everything comes out perfect. All right, our cheeses are just about melted and it smells good. Wow, I can't even describe it. This is something you're going to have to take this video and make this at home just to truly experience what this smells and tastes like. Can't get enough of that. Parmesan, provolone, pancetta. I mean, imagine putting that on top of a pizza. That would be pretty good too. All right, I'm just going to let that cool off for a second. Our rolls are just about done. And then we'll be able to put everything together, and the most important thing of all, we'll be able to eat. Here now we have one of 2 options. If you're sitting at home, you have friends, everybody's there, you're ready to eat, you can take your roll. Here we go. Cut it in half. What you want to do is you want to take out a little bit of the dough, and that's still really hot. You can see the steam coming out of there, so be careful. Just want to take that out, else it could be a little bit on the heavier side. So, and then we'll take some of our cheese. And look at that. Does that not look delicious? And it's still nice and warm. We're going to scoop that onto our roll. Now, if everybody's there and ready to go, you can just slap this top back on your roll and say, hey, everybody, it's time to eat. If you're having guests and they're coming over a little bit later, you can do it up into this step in advance, and then you can set your cheese aside, keep it in a warm spot so it doesn't get hard. And then what you can do is you can assemble everything, set your broiler to a low setting, and then you can keep half of the roll off, keep the top half off, and then I'm just going to save the step of scooping it out just to show you here. We'll put our cheese and get it nice and set on top of the bread. And then we'll take these, we'll put all 6 together, then we're going to throw them in the broiler, and we'll get the cheese a little bit bubbly, nice and brown. So you have both options. Whatever way you choose, I hope you like it. It's going to be delicious.